Whew. Well, hello there. Welcome to another Saturday night hobby hangout. Just get this out of the way. So, yeah. Oh no. Ah. Right. No. It's all. Oh, whatever. Yes. Hi, everybody. How are you? I hope you're all having a good weekend or a good week, and getting some hobby done. I know that I've been very lax in my hobby this week because where I've been at work, it's quite busy, and also having time off, which during the school holidays is spent looking after my kids, as you would do. You can't fend for themselves. Well, they can, but they don't want to. And yeah, I'm just going to close the door because we've got some weirdos out there. So anyway, yes, today I started last night with the prep work for today, which was getting a couple of the Warlord weapon systems done. So we have the Volca Destructor, which I've washed, primed, paint and lead belchered with the rattle cans. So I must admit, these kits have been really quite awesome to work with. You don't get any sort of build instructions, so it's a lot of referencing the box art, and you have to always remember that within the blister pack you actually get the rules card for said weapon. So the Volca Destructor for the Warlord, which is 40 points. So I've got to get round to cutting that out and trying to laminate it if I can get the laminator to work. But yeah, it's quite a awesome big weapon in particular. So these ones will be for my Legio Krytos engines as other weapon options. So they're already magnetised, but the tomb on that, the volcano cannon was quite big, but this has just got a little bit extra on there. Now, yes, it's not a volcano cannon. It's not going to be as devastating as a volcano cannon, but fluff-wise, it's a really cool little weapon to have. He says little weapon. Now, obviously for shield stripping, it's useful. You've got, well, it's a medium-range weapon, but you do get beam. So with beam, you can auto-target without needing to roll the +2 as you would normally. So once the shield's gone down, you can use that to pick out the vulnerable parts on an enemy Titan. Admittedly, you want to be hitting in the side or the rear at least, or areas that are already damaged to get the bonuses, because obviously if you're shooting something that's already got like a +2 or a +3, you're going to be doing sort of 8 or 9 damage with the shots. And if you get one hit, basically, so when you roll your damage, so you roll your 3 dice. So as long as one of them hits, because it has the Void Breaker, it gives you 2 auto hits. So the minimum you would do is 3, the maximum you would do is 5, because you only get the 2 hits once. So just one hit gives you another 2 hits. So that's handy, especially, like I said, for finishing off Titans, like lighter Titans in particular. It can be quite good, especially after taking some damage, because you can just pick out without needing to roll, and then all you got to do is actually damage it. So that's the hard part, because dice never do what you want them to do, really. Hey, hello, Mousy. Mousebait, how are you? Yes, the tomb. This is the second tomb weapon I've done so far. I actually had a little bit of result where I've been looking at maybe downsizing some of my armies, and a friend of mine who he's a bit of a tank head. I had a Curian pattern Shadow Sword tank, and it's like my favourite tank. I bought it when they first came out from Forge World back in the last decade, or the previous decade. It was like 2000. 2008, 2009 maybe. Wow. Um, but I'm not getting to use a lot of my sort of like armies, so I'm thinking it's probably about time I downsized and traded and sold some of them. So with him, I traded that for several packs of Warlord weapon upgrades. So he basically purchased them, and then we exchanged. So yeah, so I've got some more Quake cannons. I've got some more. I've got a Gatling blaster, some las blasters as well. So and like there's several of these. So I've got a little stockpile, so I can use these to supplement all my armies. So that's going to help. Right, I'm going to put that down because that's annoying me. It's probably annoying you as well. You keep sort of trying to find focus because there's no real colours on that. So, but yeah, so they're all magnetised. They're all ready to rock and roll, so to speak. Oh, hello, Adam and Arc13. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, no, Shadow Swords have ever since sort of the early days of Epic, the Shadow Sword tank. I just loved the look of it. Pure chonk with big volcano cannon, and I like the fluff that the fact that like they fire their main gun and then it's like. we got recharge. So, like, it takes ages for them to actually get it up again to fire, which seems to be like a massive flaw. But they're normally in squadrons of like 3 of them, so yeah, it's not too bad. Especially if you're getting like 3 volcano cannon hits into an unshielded Titan, that's going to be quite devastating, whatever Titan you are. So absolute the pew pew, pew pew pew, as Adam was saying there. You're good. Really want to order my own tune, but haven't got the cash. Well, just got to sort of just pace yourself. I'm sure there'll be plenty of them in the future. So just save up those pennies for now, Mousebait, and when it's time, you'll know it's time. Then get yourself some super tune. Now I know some of the guys like from Maximal Fire have sort of spoken on their podcasts about the Volkite weapons in here, and obviously with the lighter quality ones, so like the ones for the Warhound and Reaver, the Vulcan Mega Bolter is still king for the shield stripping knee sort of thing. But who doesn't want to have a bit of tune going on? Because you can just stand there, roll your dice, and go tune at your enemies, and also obviously the sound effects add to the awesomeness of the occasion, as I like to think. So that's the plan for today, to get these going, which I'm doing for the Legio Krytos Titan, as we've seen. I'll probably do some little touching up on the Legis Titan as well. I've noticed when I got this out to help me decide which arms to go for, and the magnets, make sure they were all fitting in. I kind of realised that I'd missed off some of the cables and stuff, so that'll be worked on as well. And I brought back in the building we started painting. Was it last week we started doing that? I haven't touched it. As I said, I've done very little hobby this week. Literally all I've done this week is build these and paint them so far. Well, base and prime them. So that's what we got planned for today. So are you guys... Yes, Adam, they do rule. Fire Wasps are my Legio. But I had to have a bad guy, and I couldn't, as Fire Wasps, I couldn't abide having Mortis. So I went for probably the most awesomely named one, which was the Godbreakers, because when they announced the name of Legis Kratos, their lower Gothic name as Godbreakers, like in the seminar we was in, it was just like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I went with the Godbreakers. And I just loved the look. I loved the sort of the sheer brutality of how they operate. Because they were featured in they're mentioned to be close allies to like the Iron Warriors during the Talon campaign, and they have a tendency for blowing up buildings and stuff, and I just thought that was pretty cool, so I definitely went with that as an option. And yeah, so it's I like the colours as well, the green and the Corax white. I use pretty easy down here actually, Tamiya XF25 for the green, Now, obviously it comes out a lot lighter than that, but that's been oil weathered, so that tones it right down. So if you do get into doing like oil weathering with your Titans, if you feel that it's looking a bit too light and vibrant, then you can safely know that once you add the oil weathering to it, it's going to dull it down, tone it down. It gives you a really nice, lived-in look. But it does take it down a step. You'll see when I paint these on here, because what I would normally do, once I've got the base coats down, I will pick out the colours. So obviously I'll go with Tamiya, I'll go with the Corax White on the armour plates. But what I'm actually going to do today, because with these paints, obviously your base paints, you can go over pretty much anything anyway. So I'm going to go over with my Retributor Gold on these, and I'm not going to be careful. I'm just going to go around the edges onto there and onto the trim, and then go over with the Corax White and the Tamiya, because you can do that with that. Because the way I paint, I will go do a layer, then I'll agrax it all, and then go over again with a little touch up. So it gives it a little bit more depth and sort of that sort of weathering as well. Yeah, I wish I could with the autofocus, because it's doing it all the time. He says that, and it's not. No, it's not doing it. Hold on, I'm just going to check. But I don't think this one actually has an autofocus on the actual camera itself. No. So I'll try settings. Hold on. Video. No, nothing on that. That's general. Nothing on that for camera. Yeah, this is a fairly, it's a good camera, but it's not, because I don't think it helps, because this is all the same colour here, so it's having trouble trying to focus onto something. So once I start getting some colour on it. Oh, hello, Rob. Let's catch up. I walked into a GW shop today and not a single AT. Yeah, well, that's the thing with the Games Workshop stores. They don't actually stock AT. I think they've had Blood Bowl in their stores, but not AT for some reason. They may have even had Aeronautica Imperialis at one stage. Although I don't know where you're based, but I know in London the new store, the Games Workshop store in Tottenham Court Road, they're actually going to start having Forge World stuff in there as well. So Games Workshop and Forge World in there. So it's slightly bigger premises they've got there. I think it's only like a few doors down from the old store. But they will have Forge World in there, because it was making a big announcement on their webpage the other day. So I'm assuming if they're having Forge World, they'll also have AT in there as well, being specialist games. So fingers crossed. So if anyone's down in London, you've got that to look forward to if you're going around the smoke. Anyway, even the employee said it sucks. I can imagine. I have more Tamiya paints coming, so happy to work with. So still airbrush, we use them. Yeah. No, so they're great little paints. Obviously, work differently to the Forge World stuff. Yeah, that's the thing is. With this, it's just as it is, unfortunately. As he tries to find a brush that he can use for painting, because I put everything all over the place today. So that'll do. Shiny Pad sends AF nuts. I've never seen AT-AI in your. Yeah, again, with I'm lucky where I am. The local friendly local game stores all tend to have AT within them. So I've got options where I can go here, there, everywhere, basically. But obviously over in the States, I know you're more spread out, aren't you, with your gaming stores and stuff. And obviously it depends on the areas, I guess, because it's like with all sort of retail stores, certain areas might have a more of a presence of a certain game type. So obviously if they're not got the interest locally, so unless you start drumming up your own, you know, do what I've done, just keep on buying Titans and do your own sort of events and have people play with your Titans and hook them, just so you've got a local community of Princeps, and then just go from there. See, it's insidious. Oh, Bristol is your closest. Oh, right, yeah. Oh no, I was for a second there. I thought Bristol. What's over there? I thought Firestorm Games is over there, but that's in Wales, isn't it? So it's a bit further on than you, really, isn't it? What's the Adam? What's the scene like over there? Like, are there like a few sort of friendly friendly stores over that way, or is it just, you know, the main guys really, or is there any like hobby clubs, gaming groups, or whatever set up? Because sometimes I found when I moved out this way, I was surprised that there was quite a few. So not only like the friendly local game stores have their own little things, but there are actually quite a few sort of little gaming groups set up. And it's not until you really sort of look into it or get chatting with people at sort of gaming stores you actually find their existence. Because I didn't realise there were so many over this way. Not that I've been to any, but I do know of at least 5, which is in close proximity to where I live. So if I ever did want to go down just for a pick-up match or use the facilities, then I can, you know. But it's nice to have the options. But if you haven't got any, then that's even more frustrating, isn't it? Hello, Andrew. Nice for you to drop in, dude. How are you up to, man? Are you up to hobbying tonight, or are you just popping in to say hi? So, you're up in Derby, bloody hell. Yeah, that's the thing. Is from Derby, it can be. There is one route which takes like 20 minutes to get to Warhammer World. But if you're not on that route, it takes you sort of like 45 minutes. Because my friend Nigel, who lives in Derby, I have occasionally gone, picked him up, and gone over to Warhammer World. And he said, "Oh, go this way, go that way," and we're next minute we're on this like fairly newish sort of motorway, and bang, you're straight into Warhammer World within like 20 minutes. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. But I know it's like where you go somewhere, and it is a toss-up, isn't it? Because obviously going back down to Bristol from Derby, you know, that's a bit of a trek. So do you sort of add another sort of hour and a half, because you're not going to just go there, walk in, walk out. You're going to end up sort of either talking to one of the staff about your hobby, or you might see somebody you know gaming down there or something. So yeah, they do sort of, does take time, and you don't want to rush. You know, it's a visit to Warhammer World. You can't rush these sort of things. I now have 2 Warlords, 3 Reavers, and 4 Warhounds. That's a nice selection. As I said, you want to have the option that you can field various mana pools. So let's say like 2 Warlords gives you obviously a base for like a Myrmidon. I think 3 is the best to go for, because then you can do the Exterminatus, which is very popular, because who doesn't want Warlords walking around with added strength to their weapons? Obviously includes added heat, but still it's pretty awesome. Because you just go down that proper sort of Titan gun line, and especially like with the upgrades now, where you can get the the things for the rooftops to give you better angles. I can't think of the name at the moment. Sorry. I've seen that's not it's not calipers. But yeah, so that upgrade which allows you to sort of have a 45-degree, well, the front arc to your carapace weapons for warlords is very handy, because that it does really open up your sort of tactical options, and it's like 25 points, unless you're doing a crusade army, which is 10 points, which, to be honest, that really needs to be looked at. Although that's actually a war gear thing, so it's not an upgrade, but still, you for 10 points and you was doing a crusade army, you probably would do that. But it is too cheap for what it is. Shoot, I may need to redo my Reaver's base. It's got floating models so bad on it. Oh no. But just wedge some bits of rubble or something underneath its foot. If that might help. That's what I say. I normally just sort of just cram crap underneath it, stomping. Yep, I know them both those routes. 45 minutes takes you past the unit. Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right down that way, aren't you? Hello, Andrew. Another Andrew. We've got all the Andrews coming in. Adams and Andrews. And Mouses. And Robs. And anyone else who's out there, good evening. I hope you're having some awesome hobby time. I'm trying to. And thanks for joining me tonight. Either Night Banner or 2, or is it 3? Right, depends what knights you got, Mousebait. So if you're Questorus, it's minimum 3, maximum 6. And if it's a Lancer, Cerastus Lancer, it's minimum 2, maximum 4. Obviously, with the nerfing to the Porphyrion, you can only have a maximum of 2, and you can only have them as a support banner. So you can't have them as part of the Lance, I don't think. I'm not sure. Not sure if you can actually have them as part of your Scions banner though. I think that might have been nerfed as well. So I think. But yeah, so you can have one banner of Porphyrion per Lance. So I'd say probably, if you wanted to have a lot of Porphyrion, you would have to have at least 2 Lances. So that would be like, the minimum would be like 3 banners of 3 Questorus, which is going to be probably around about 450, maybe 500, with weapon loadouts. And then you can have a banner of 2 there. So for 1500, you could have 2 Lances with 4 Porphyrion. But then they don't gain anything from Lance rules. So they're completely on their own, really. So that's one little way to make them not as good, but still, they are still pretty good. Because the amount of firepower. But then again, they are, fluff-wise, they are an anti-Titan knight. So you would expect them to have some, firepower to them to deal with Titans. Gyro stabilizers. Thank you, Andrew Riley. Thank you. I wedged an Emperor's Children transport into 1 foot. And why not? They're probably enjoying themselves underneath it. Oh, so now the rain's coming. So the rain was holding off, at least when I was doing the spray paint earlier on. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I actually at the Legio Walks event last year. Um, there was one guy who wanted to take sort of 7 or 8 Porphyrion, because back then, before the nerfing, you could have the banner of 4 of them, and yeah, it was a lot of people like going, "Oh, you can't do that, dude." And he's like, "Well, what's wrong with it? You know, it's legitimate." But I think yes, it was legitimate, but I think it was just a case of like, being, a cool player, really, because 8 of them firing 4 shots, so that's 32, and if you're all going to get hits, you're doubling that up, so they're doing 64 hits. uh, so uh, yeah, well, that's if he's got a full 8, yeah. So that's not good. Like a banner could just absolutely pulverize. Well, yeah, because a banner would only be 400 points, and that's going to be doing 32 shots. No, 4. So 4, yeah, 4 fours. Yeah, no, yeah. So if it would be doing maths work, 16 shots per turn per banner of 4, and if they're hitting, they're doing double hits, so that's 32. That's a lot. And then you've got their missiles as well, so they're not the most funnest things to come against. Like 1 or 2, I would say that would be acceptable, because depends on what you're playing. If you're playing knights, you definitely need them, without a shadow of a doubt, because you need that fire support to be able to take out enemy, will take down shields and stuff, and to really scare titans, basically, because they are tough little suckers as well, which people forget. To kill one outright, you've got to get 17. So unless you've got good rolls on volcano cannons, so you need 5+ on a volcano cannon, to kill one outright. Or if you're like me, and you have a squadron of warhounds, maximal fire with your plasma blast gun into a squad of 4. So you're doing a base, because it's a squadron, and you're shooting at the same targets, you're getting +1 to the armor roll. So you've got a base of 11, and I've rolled 3 6s and a 5. So yeah, that was 3 dead, and because obviously once you remove one, you reset the damage, which I didn't realise, because I was going like, but you should all be dead, because like if you had 2 crit, 2 crit, 2 crit, 2, and 2, that's 8 damage. But after you apply the first 2 damage, and then you apply the crit, then you kill out one outright, and then the damage track goes back to 0. So you actually you get 3 kills and just 2 damage on a 7-strong unit. So yeah, they're tough unless you get very lucky with your dice rolls. Yeah, I know, Rob. It was really nice. Well, this morning it was terrible. It was absolutely torrential when I was driving to work. But then it did get better, and then it got rubbish again, and it got better again, and it's only been, I say, in the last hour really that it's got a bit grey, overcast, a bit of a breeze coming up, and a spot of rain here and there, but not too bad apart from that. What have we got here? Yeah, my Reaver's got foot on a bit of a hill. I wanted it to look more stomping down. I realise now that I needed to add more and pushed in dirt to make it work. No, that works. Yeah, just puff it out with extra bits and pieces. Yeah, it is a lot of shots. To be honest, with my luck, I'd get maybe 1 hit, because that's how I roll, literally. That's fair. Oh, hey, MZ. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're alright. And everyone is groovy. As they are now in a pure night list, I think they're okay. A bit much in support of a Titan battle group. again, yeah. I can see people using them because obviously they it depends on what you've got really. If you've got quite a few sort of like lighter titans, then having a couple of Porphyrions as a support option is probably not too bad, because fluff wise you're looking at the lighter titans, they need something, you know, as an additional assist in shooting stuff. But yeah, if you're going with like an Exterminus and you've got Porphyrions in like a big game, then that's a little bit much. I once played a game of 40k. Both me and my opponent spent 3 turns rolling one. That's bad, Adam. But I've had games where my dice rolling has been absolutely pants. I've actually changed dice. You know, it's just like it's just not working. You know, you do your little lucky blows or the special shakes, and it just doesn't work. So I just basically thought this is ridiculous. So luckily I had some extra dice with me, but if I hadn't, I probably would have gone and bought some more dice because we was playing in a game, friendly local gaming store. But yeah, it's frustrating to say the least when that keep on rolling ones, or the old, you know, the important roll that comes up, you never get it, and that's just my luck as well, to be honest. So I've always made sure that I have more dice with me because I know it's going to happen again at some point, and you need to substitute the dice, call the ref in, and get them swapped over because you can't have that. Though saying that, I have actually had games that I've won and I have rolled really badly. So it's not as if my opponent had rolled badly as well. You know, they might have done really well, but just not got those specific, you know, game-changing rolls. Example, I was at one of the Tyrannosaurus Club's earlier meetups. We used to do like little, you know, war games like face off, like knights and titans facing off against each other. And me and my friend Mike were one side and was up against Ben Greaves and other mate Matt Potter, and this was up at Warhammer World. Now, me and Mike, we were hitting everything. You know, we had so many hits. You know, all weapons would, you know, it was like look there, destroy, without the destroy. We could hit, we just couldn't damage. Whereas Matt and Ben, you know, they'd roll and they'll just get maybe one hit, but then they'd get a critical hit from it. You know, so it's annoying because you're thinking, well, we're doing all these hits, but we're just not getting the hits that count. But then they were getting so many less and just doing the business. So yes, it's a funny old game, as Mr. Greaves would say. Definitely need to reread rules and such so I can figure out my remaining models, what needs to go in which army. Yeah, I was actually like choosing with the weapons I've got, Mouse. I was actually taking Titans out of the boxes to look at what I actually physically had, and then thinking, well, this guy could go with that dude and all that. But you know, it can get a bit confusing, so I might find myself just concentrating on my main legios for now and giving them stuff to supplement their weapon options. So, like, say with these Volkites and stuff. My plan with the Krytos guys is I want to give them a few more Quake cannons, to be honest, because I really like Quake cannons. I know they're not as, you know, powerful as volcano cannons, but I just like them. It's just It's I like the concussive bit and the Quake rule. So shooting a Titan, unshielded Titan, and making them do a little boogie is always fun. It's always looking for the fun parts. It's 35 here. Oh, bloody hell. That's what you get from living in the States. Oh, you got your Warlord legs sprayed and took an entire can to legs at the air. No, it eats up the spray quite easily. But yeah, you were sort of in doubt of how fast you can get going with these things. But how did you find the build? Like, because most people find it actually quite easy, even though it's a really, really big model. The the instructions are really good with the Forge World Warlord, so it's easy to sort of assemble. Obviously, you got to like reinforce and stuff, so that adds a little bit more to it. But with what you've done with the posing on that thing, like the little steps and the basing that you're doing for it, I really cannot wait to see that actually up and running, mate. As good as can be. Well, that's the best it can be, to be honest with you. Last night when I fell asleep real early because I was tired, because at work I'm doing 3 days on my own, and it's mental. And I didn't get too much good sleep. I'm getting sleep, but not good restful sleep. And I had to get up early this morning because I have to do estimates and stuff before going into work. So I was actually out of the house a little before 7 this morning to drive 40 odd miles to go to a measure and then to another measure after that before opening up the shop. And it's just been constant because everybody wants their flooring. Keeps me off the streets, I guess, but it's tiring. So yes, all fun. Your arm hurts from dry brushing for fewer. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. Well, I can't imagine. I know. It is such a beast. But once it's done, dude, you are absolutely gonna love that thing. So Warlords are just such an awesome model. Big, awesome all versions. They're just amazing. I've done that, bought new dice, did fine first game, completely terrible second. Yeah. That's probably when you should have reverted back to the old dice, because maybe they would have got their their house in order, and you would have been able to sort of gone out and kick some butt. The pack of dice I was using was so cursed that I tried to smash them with a lump hammer, and most of them survived. Yeah, I can actually imagine that, Adam. That's the thing. It's like sometimes you just get dice that you feel like they want to kill you, but I don't know. Maybe just holding some sort of ritual. Some incense, sacrifice some KFC to the dice gods. Say some prayers. I don't know. Maybe you'll be able to break the curse on there. Or, all right, cunning plan, whiskey, pour the dice in it, get them drunk. They won't know what they're doing then. And maybe the spirits will help sort them out. And that's maybe all it needs. You might just need to get them topped up on some alcohol and see how that works. If somebody does do that and it works, that would be pretty cool, to be honest. Yes, all my dice have been soaked in single malt or some bourbon, some Glenmorangie. Oh, is it monkey foot? But yeah, I think that will actually. I actually do have faith in if you did that would actually work. Don't give in to violence. Just get them drunk. Welcome to Orc life. More weapon options are always good, I think. Yeah, I like to have the options with like all my games, really. I'm not one of these guys that where you see the popular gaming lists or stuff like that. I don't do that. I just go with what I think is cool and just hope for the best. So see if that actually works in game. But I'd rather be sort of like that than sort of looking through the meta and going, all right, oh, I need to get like double options here of this one unit, which is like the super duper unit for this army faction or whatever. Never been my thing. Like mix, was it min maxing, wasn't it? Where you're like, oh yeah, you've got to have like the smallest amount of unit here so I can get the elite units sort of maxed out so they're more devastating. Never been a big fan of doing that because I like thematic sort of forces, if you know what I mean. Hello there, Greg. You lurker. So I just got a notification of somebody's reporting into one of my other hobby groups about, it said, don't give in to violence, just get them drunk. Worked for me. I picked up a 28. Oh, you jammy sod! 28mm Quake cannon for your Warlord. Oh, dude. What's your other? Other weapon you got? You just gone for Volcano, or you gone for Sun Fury, or have you gone for? Oh, you went for Gatling, didn't you? Did you go for a Gatling blaster? Yeah, Warlord is the easiest to build so far. Yeah, I know, and that's the surprising thing because you got the 2 boxes of Warlord Titan, and you just look at it and go, "This is so intimidating." But as you just read through the instructions, it's the easiest thing ever. As I said, the time consuming is obviously trimming and cleaning, and then just reinforcing, like putting some pins right around the leg joints and stuff. But once you've got that sorted, and you've got the tools, it's just like zip, pin it, glue it up, off you go. But yeah, it's just a crazy. Sorry, windy pops. It's just a crazy thing when building the Warlords. Like say, I think you and John, who've done his Ignitum one, like he was like a week sort of thing. Obviously, you're going to be a little bit longer because obviously your paint scheme is a lot more trickier to do, more involved. But it's going to look awesome. And did you decide on what you're going to do with it? I saw you posted up in the Titan group where you put the different accessories you was going to put on the hood, the cowling, like the wings, or if you was to put little symbols on there. Did you decide in the end? I want an arm-mounted APOC missile so I can go back to blinding lobby barrage templates over obstructions and stop opponents shooting me. That's fair. I think there was somebody was actually asking for the Titan Walk, which is like 2 weeks away. Someone was asking about having a Reaver with 3 APOCs because it was a thing back in the day, and they've actually built one. Like obviously bought the APOC launchers 3 times over to do 2 on the arm and 1 on the hood. So that might actually be something. I would rather build another 3 Warlords than 1 more Warhound. Yeah, no, Warhound toes are the worst. And I think Reavers with the groin sections I found actually quite tricky. Even the feet on them was a little bit ropey. But nothing, those toe sections of Warhounds, my God. I glued myself several times to the model trying to do those poxy pistons. Hey, Luke. How are you? Welcome. Oh dear. And G Steel is in the house. Yeah, dude. How's your Solaria going, man? You all good? And Hallam. Nice to see you, dude. Need more Titanicus injecting into my veins. Anyone got any games in the post-lockdown world? No, I don't know. You might have. No, I don't know. I have posted on a few hobby groups last week where I did some experimenting. I was using a Warlord Sinister, and I thought, all right, I've got some dice, and I've used the Titanicus apps sort of thing, record what's what, and basically done a simulated war game of a Warlord Sinister versus. First off was 3 Warhounds in like a Lupercal, and then I thought, well, actually, I realised afterwards that I was about 100 points over, but I thought, 3 on 1. But no, it just chomped through them. And then I went and done a Venator Light Maniple, so it was equal points. So the 2 Warhounds and the Reaver. And the Reaver was armed with Twin Melter and Turbo Laser. And Warhounds, one was blast gun with Volca Mega Battle, and the other one was Turbo Laser with the Volca Mega Battle. Because I like to make sure I can strip the shields with the Venator Light Maniple. Once you strip the shields, the Reaver gets a free shot. So depending on the range, if the Reaver's up close, you hit them with a melter, and then hopefully get a good result, and then you sort of go after that sort of thing. But the Warlord got first turn in that one, and with the Tenebrae, I can never remember how to pronounce the first, the Sissistratum or whatever, Sissistratum Tenebrae, the Psychic Cannon thing. It bypasses shields, and it shot a Warhound, done like 3 crits to it. It was just there, and then in the combat phase, it got shot, and it went pop. It then damaged the Warhound next to it because it was bypassing shields. Then its reactor was hot, so in the repair phase, I rolled because it took crits from the damage, so its shields dropped. So when I'd done a repair phase roll, it got bumped up because the result was basically if the shields were down on a 5 or 6, I think it was, then if the shields were already down, it bumps up to a plasma leak. So it got a plasma leak, which killed it. So within, technically, 1 elapsed before the movement of the next one, 2 Warhounds had gone, and then it was just the next turn was just trading fire with the Reaver, and yeah, so by turn 3 they were dead. So yeah, the Warlord Sinister is sick. Nasty, fun, but yeah, it's definitely something you've got to be wary of. That bypassing shields with that Tenebrae, as long as you don't, roll like a mishap or something, because if you can lose the weapon and you can get psychic feedback. But yeah, it's just against Warhounds, that Tenebrae, because you're critting on 14, I think, the Warhound on the body. So yeah, 3 crits. Yeah, it's not good. Right. I tried praying and sacrificing, didn't work. I ain't wasting good whiskey on cursed dice. You don't know until you try it, dude. You never know. Does that little bit of whiskey, just a little bit, might change your fortunes. Or you just drink the whiskey so you can't read the dots. Mine have to survive on vodka or beer. Either are good options. At least they've been disinfected then. Yeah, see? Sanitizing your dice. That's what you're doing, as well as getting them drunk. I went into isolation yesterday. Son tested. Oh no, and he's feeling okay so far. I'm hoping to avoid picking up. Oh well, I hope not, dude. Hope everybody's okay, and that is just it's weird because some people test positive and nothing, and like obviously like with Matt where he kept on testing negative, but he's been feeling pretty crappy. and obviously Lauren has been suffering with it. So hopefully, you'll be okay. So you've got a couple of weeks left to go before the walk. So fingers crossed for you, man. Nussbit. Government once said vodka was a reasonably priced alternative to hand sanitizer. That's the UK government for you. I don't know if would it at certain points. So it probably was cheaper to buy vodka than sanitizer, to be honest. I can't be bothered to do flavour of the month or whatever. I pick immediately nerfed, and I'll just stick with the underdogs. Just go with what you say. I choose what you like and just live with it. That's all you can do. Sun Fury is such a good name. Yeah, I normally always like to call it by its full name with the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator because it just rolls off the tongue. It just sounds extra awesome. But yeah, Gatling Blaster and Ariok. Oh, so you've got some options there as well. Even better. We'll get all the guns though. Yeah. Be right back. We'll fetch a custom D&E figure from the UV lamp. Oh, you're printing off stuff, I take it. No worries. Yep, had an APOC Warlord back in the day. I've got a few plaques, banners, and other bits to add to various parts of armoured panels. I have locations all drawn up and now keeping a subtle but visible. Nice. Working on my Warbringer. Oh yeah. I saw you was doing the plates on the sprues, weren't you? Was it yesterday? I remember seeing it somewhere. Okay, new ideas. Dice ice. Stick them in a drink and roll when done. That can definitely become a thing. Just found out my workmate has came out of hospital after catching it. Oh, not popular here, but I hope we go into lockdown again. Stupid southern states. Our local area is 30% vaxxed. I would love another lockdown. Only time I get work done on time. Yeah, well, so with lockdown, I don't like lockdown. I got through, but for me, it's weird because as soon as I go back to work, lockdown didn't happen because it didn't exist. I was like Bobby Ewing stepping out of the shower. It literally, when I first went back after the first sort of 3 months last year, I hadn't been away, and that was the freaky thing. It's just like, yeah, I'm here. I was only here the other day, and 100 days just completely vanished. I knew I was off. I knew that I did stuff, but just wasn't. And that was the weirdness. So I can endure that sort of thing, and I don't mind it because I'd rather be, not that I'm lazy or anything like that. It's just that I do like working, but I don't like being ill, and I don't want to be the person responsible of making other people ill. And that's the thing with these sort of viruses and stuff. I've seen enough sort of medical programs and seen how these sort of things spread. And wearing a mask at work, I have no problem wearing masks. I'd rather wear a mask, but I did notice that I haven't had a cold in over a year and a half, so it says something about masks if you ask me. So yeah, I've been probably my healthiest because obviously working in the sort of public sector and stuff, where you get people coming up to you and they're all like, "Oh, hello," all snotty, gelotty and everything. It's spreading their germs everywhere. So that's one good thing. Well, it was one good thing at the time, but maybe not so much nowadays because so many people aren't bothering with masks because of the old Freedom Day. Ridiculous, but yeah, each to their own. But I will still be wearing a mask for the foreseeable. No, but sadly I still work essential hours. But yeah, traffic is better. You say that. I did notice, you know, in the first lockdown, yes, not so much going on, because I did take the occasional journey to work, even though we was closed, because I have a lot of my stuff is actually at work. So I went and grabbed some models and whatever and brought them home. So I had something to do. And you know, when I went up there, it was on like a Sunday morning, so the roads were fairly clear anyway, even on the busy stretches. It would normally be busy stretches, but yeah, it after things started lifting last year, you'd be going, well, where's all these cars come from? Why all these people are out on the road? You know, because I was travelling between my home and my kids because I had to look after them because my ex-wife is an essential worker. So obviously she had to go in, and I went looked after the kids, no problem. But it was just thinking, you can't all be going out and doing the same sort of thing, because it was, you know, still getting traffic jam in certain areas where you're thinking that shouldn't be happening. Most of you people should be indoors. But way of the world, I guess. There's enough about that anyway. Come on, it's hobbies, hangout Saturdays. Let's be a bit more positive about stuff. Now, this is the downside of Tamiya's, because you can't really sort of rush paint with them. Airbrushing, not bad. When you're using a brush, they're not the greatest, because you have to be careful. So not to go over what you've already done. And you make sure you've got enough of them. I've not had any lockdown time at all. I've worked all the way through. That's exactly how my 2-week vacation went. It's like it didn't exist. I swear, all the stress of this last 2 years, a lot of friends is just the same. Yeah, it's crazy. Time dilation. Randy's been working as well. Tempted to go back and wear my air mask with a Delta Airways. Two of my team brought back in, and they all wanted to have 2 weeks holiday. Oh. Seam on the armour plate is annoying. What? Oh, that thing. I don't mind it. I actually quite like them. You say just fill it up with a wash and be done. Turn off your email notifications, and I keep going to open my email program. Right, with the way I do it, Rob, I say I just get one basic coat on like this, and again I don't sort of go too heavy with it as such, and then let that dry a little bit. I want to go over that gold again. But I'll go over all of that with the Agrax in a while once that's dried, and then I'll pick out a few bits and just touch up, because it's the way I do this is to say you just layer, wash, layer, and then do a little like pin wash with the Agrax, just to make sure you just get those edges around between the trim and the plate, because I want that dirtier. Obviously, when I do later on with doing an oil weathering, then that would do that as well. But it's just the process I go with all of these. But that's the hell. just noticed how that was. Well, that's quite hot. Yeah, so I'll just leave them to dry a little bit, and then I'll just touch up a few bits before giving that the Agrax treatment, I think. I rarely use them. I only have a few shades like smoke. Yeah, I've got smoke as well. I used to use that a lot, but now I actually just cheat and use basilicum. Same sort of thing, really. Or basilicanum. Tamiya plus retarder plus thinner is fine. I found definitely to have air, etc., and mask is not safe to do without, but for touch-ups it's good. Yeah, I'd say if I was doing a whole model, I might have gone in with doing the airbrush, but when I'm just doing a few bits on a weapon, I'm not going to bother. It seems a bit, too much hassle, if you know what I mean. But yes. So go to white. Actually, let's do a couple of these bits on the gun shield. Put it. I'm hiding this behind my beer. Do I complain to? I didn't get my 5G after my second jab. I think that there must be some official complaints procedure you can go to, Andrew. But have you tried? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a witty comment. Oh, have you tried this? No. Vodafone? No, it's not funny now. It's the moment's past. I actually, funny enough, on my phone, because with my iPhone, which is 5G compatible anyway, I noticed up in certain areas up South End, where my kids are, noticed that I'm getting 5G up there, and I thought, ooh, look at me, I got 5G. The injection works. My phone tells me so. Mr. Fancy Pants. That's how I felt. Oh, I'll tell you what. After today, I really needed this. That and the beer definitely helps. But yeah, it was back in the good old days, pre-COVID and everything. Working on my own wasn't really a chore. It was easy going. I was laid back. I didn't have much stress or rushing about or anything. But since people not going on holiday, they were doing all their DIY and everything, and the last thing they need to do is do flooring and carpets and laminates and LVTs, and we've been just mental. You just look at it and go like, where are all these people coming from? Long may it last, but as Rob and I already know, things are getting tricky out there with the supply chain. So yeah, that's always fun. I was telling a customer today that for their particular supply, they've got to wait about 6 weeks for the flooring to turn up. But yeah, it's crazy. Mine keeps slipping to 4G. Would like to see the Traitor book come out before November. Got a tournament to go to. First ever. Oh, right. Is that a local one, or is that that's not the Maximum Fire one, is it? I know they're doing one at some point. the Clash of the Titans or whatever. I know up in Derby, boards and swords. I did one recently. Again, with this, it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth finish because I'm going to be going over it with Agrax. I just want the colour there for the Agrax to interact with, basically. That'd be nice, Andrew. Exactly, I did the small bits on this grot tank with my sky blue and flat yellow, and it makes just with the brush. How posh. Oh yeah, Lee. Similarly, the craft stores have been out of stock here in yarns and stuff. Yeah, you can say it's crazy because it's not what anyone's really used to. You know, all these sort of shortages and stuff, not being able to get everything. You know, oh, but we're in the sort of 2020s now, sort of thing. Everything should be easier, but no, it's a global pandemic. It's affecting everywhere. And so unless you do something drastic like everybody wearing masks for prolonged periods or lockdowns and stuff, which obviously capitalism doesn't approve and appreciate, we want more money. But yeah, so there's only so much you can do. And yeah, it's just got to be realistic sometimes with some things. Work inventory control for a large copier company. Can't get parts for machines for months. I know, like with a friend, Engine Phil, because he works with computers, and he was saying, well, I was trying to deal with him to try and get it was a graphics card or something, and he was just saying, graphic cards are really hard to come by. Like all these supplies that he uses, out of stock. So we've just got to take things easy as long as we can get the essentials, food, water. Then that's all you need. We have NASCON here in September this month. No, it's next month. Don't start wishing August away. I've got stuff to do in August. Lots of things going on. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that everything still goes ahead. Oh dear. Isn't as easier when everything's connected and no one seems to figure out. Yeah. Did you try making knuckles by photocopying the originals? If only it was that simple. Oh, it's like it's that whole thing. Like first photocopiers, how many people tried photocopying pound notes or whatever, fivers. I work for a massive haulage rental company, and it's awful at the moment. Lead times for the trucks themselves are 12. Oh, bloody hell! Yeah, I can imagine with the haulage side of things. That's because a lot goes into that. Everyone just thinks, oh yeah, you just load up a truck and drive, but obviously you got to get the trucks, you got to get the drivers, and everything's got to be timed. Especially like if you've got anything perishable on board. A lot more goes into that sort of jazz. I know. Yeah, it's So much going on in the world. I just hope that everything just sorts itself out at some point, because it would be nice just to take a breather and relax. But you know, these little get-togethers on a Saturday, as I said, do help. They help me at least. I hope they help some of you guys out. Give you something to do to keep you company whilst you're hobbying. And it's appreciated that you dropping in to spend some time with us all and interacting. It is most enjoyable. So, like, coupled with the Wednesday night stream with Artist Empire, with the paint overs, you know, this is what I hobby for. Saturday nights and Wednesday nights, basically. Not that I hobby on Wednesday nights. You know, that I'm literally just talking. Whilst watching somebody else work. It's the Warfare 2021 event at Ascot. Ah, right. I haven't even seen that. But then again, when it comes to events, I do sort of like, you know, until things get better in that respect. So I'm not really sort of thought about doing a weekend event or anything. I might do the odd day one when I get the opportunity to. A friend of mine was running a little AT event down in London. Actually, it was this weekend. So I was looking at taking some AT down and having a game or two, but August is a very funny month for me to get time off, because it's normally a really busy month for me in real life with kids' birthdays, and obviously it's school holidays, so it's normally quite hard to get sort of time to do anything, to say the least. And let them dry out. I doubt what time it is. Went from summer to school with no break. Not my problem, I just count them and change systems. Hobby days help a lot. I appreciate it a lot myself, and I think I'd go insane else. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially when I couldn't hobby with the broken arm. Right, yeah. That's the thing. It's like when you're sort of in that sort of situation, you just think, oh, you're not feeling your best anyway when you're feeling crappy and, like, you know, you're aching and all that sort of stuff, and sitting in positions where you might be putting a bit more sort of stress or strain onto your broken ankle. It's not going to be good, is it? Dun dun dun! And Felix arrives. Hello, Felix. School holidays are my busiest time at work. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like some people, you know, I work weekends, so, you know, I know, like, some people like do their Monday to Friday and, like, oh, I've got a Friday feeling, now the weekend, and I just go, and I do not know of what you speak. I have always worked weekends in one form or another. So since 1994, when I left London and started working in flooring at a company up in Essex, I had to work Sundays. There was no alternative. I had to work Sundays. That was part of my sort of job. You have one day off in a week and you work 6. So I did that. And then when I changed job eventually to another flooring place, you had a Sunday on, Sunday off, which was all right. It was cool. But then they started downsizing, and then they started insisting that you work Sundays. So You got paid a little bit extra for doing a Sunday, so that was all right. So compared to the other place where you didn't. But yeah, so I don't know of these weekends of which people speak. It's just another day. All right, let's check these. All right, let's give that another go with the Tamiya. Let's try and get some of that gold out of the way. Get that around now. So yeah, hopefully a couple of weeks doing a Saturday of the Titan Walk, and then yeah, I don't think I'll try to organise a game with a couple of friends at some point, like one at a time. But like, I've got a couple of guys who've like one's got a like little gaming hut. I played him last year and he was like, you know, standing there in masks with the doors open. Or if it's a nice day, Engine Phil put up a little marquee in his back garden. He played in the garden. I almost got heat stroke, which is the thing I normally moan about. Right, so let them dry and then we'll get on some agrax onto them. My sister had the misfortune of breaking her leg badly about 2 years ago out on a hunt in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. She's still having issues with it, sadly. Oh, that's the thing, when you're in the middle of nowhere, that's even worse, because until you know, some decent rescue services, we're trying to sort of walk out of that with a broken leg. It's, oh, I dread that. And obviously you might do more damage to yourself. So hopefully she was sort of rescued, but yeah, when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you have to wait a while for anyone to turn up and rescue you. You know, your place is rather large. It's a big old country you're in, Mouseboat. Oh, dude. Really worried about not being able to drive again. Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's that sort of thing really does have a major impact, doesn't it? Like when we were young and we're falling out of trees and stuff like that, you know, you'd laugh it off. But as we get older, it's not so funny. That I found. So I've broken a few bones, but nothing. Well, finger bones mostly, where I've hit my hand against a wall or something. Doing something stupid like that. But yeah, it's as you get older, we don't heal as well. We're not Wolverine. As much as we want to be Wolverine, we're not. Or Deadpool. Deadpool would be cool. Deadpool, Wolverine. Yeah, either of them. Or anyone else who's got decent healing factor. I did have a friend, who was a former manager of mine, where on a drunken night out, he was showing off a bit and he jumped over a wall. You know, not that high, not that challenging, just being like, hey, look at me. He jumped over the wall. Unfortunately, there was a 10-foot drop on the other side, which he wasn't prepared for, and he absolutely smegged his leg up. So he was all sort of like, you know, screws and everything for months, and rehabilitation appointments and stuff. So yeah, obviously you would have thought he would have landed properly, being drunk. Because that's the thing, when you're drunk, you don't not stiff, when you land, but obviously he's just landed in the absolute wrong position, just screwed his leg up. Just plain silly buggers. Yeah, they called life flight, a helicoptered out. It was rather high mountain area. It'd be days to... Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Yeah, sod that. Seems like every child was breaking a bone when I was a kid. None of me or my siblings did. No, we waited until we were over 40 to then break the worst bones. Wolverine is better looking than Deadpool. That's fair. Yeah, obviously the whole sort of scrotum face. Yeah, not really a winner in a lot of cases. Beauty pageants and the like. But he does have the personality, you know, and you know that goes a long way. I say you don't have to look at the face; you can wear a mask. Right, Agrax, hello. So, right, Agrax time. And take no prisoners. So I water down the Agrax when doing the white sections. So then just keep an eye on where it's pooling. Just nip off what I can. Keep an eye on that. Turn the lights out, you're good to go. Cabbage head. It feels like we're in that bar scene with his mate. You look horrific. I love Deadpool, and I say it's just when that leaked footage came out, masterstroke, because everybody and their cat was straight onto that. It's like that is just so awesome. Oh, hello there. Rich Corinthian leather. Yeah, no, Ryan Reynolds, it was the part he was born to play. And I say it's perfect for him, really, because it is Ryan Reynolds. The way he actually acts, it's really hard to actually separate Deadpool from Ryan Reynolds. But I say it's one of those actors. He's not scared of taking the piss out of himself as he does regularly. In all forms. So, you know, I think that makes him a little bit more, you know, approachable as well, because he's not scared to do that. Whereas, you know, loads of actors are always a little bit like wary about how they look, but he's not doing anything wrong. He's in a good place with his life as well, you know. So well done to him. He's done well for himself. Bless him. Just completely own Deadpool. I was trying to remember a quote from the bar. Well, that's the thing. I just remember it like haunting. You are haunting. Yeah, it was. But I know, like in the making of stuff like that, it's like they were just going through loads of insults at each other, and especially whatever one stuck, they kept. People are gonna just start trying to remember what else he goes on about. It's like I still love the bit when hey, he's got a rabbit ear. He's wearing the brown pants. When Colossus handcuffs him, he cuts his hand off. Leaves him with the finger. Oh dear. Oh, so that's just. My jaws are hurting now. Jaws, my cheeks. I can't even think of what part of my body's hurting. Zamboni's saying. Death by Zamboni. just chasing him on across the ice. Oh, it's sort of when I sort of seen like the way he was killing people and all that sort of thing, or even like when he turns the camera away, says, "Don't watch." But no, like all the ways that he'd go and kill somebody, it just reminded me of my earlier role playing exploits, because I had like when I was doing like playing Werewolf the Masquerade or Vampire Live roleplay. So yeah, like LARP. My werewolf characters, I had what is it? A Fianna Metis, and his name was Daffy, and I basically based him upon like like not George, Lenny, or the big abominable snow monster from like Daffy Duck cartoons. I shall love him and squeeze him, and I shall name him George. That dude, and I based his character on him. But whenever I got into a fight situation, I'd always liked to utilize what was around me at the time. So, like, instead of just like, oh yeah, I'm punching you, no, I'm ramming you into some lockers or the ceiling, or like, pushing you through a wall, because you think, well, what's the fun in just punching somebody? Why don't you just, really utilize your werewolf enhanced strength and just put that vampire through some plain glass windows into some spike railings outside the window? That's the sort of thing. You don't hold back. Go to full whack and just really go to town on people. They'd appreciate it more. How did your character die? Well, he was repeatedly rammed into a few lockers in a university corridor, and then had my head slammed repeatedly into it. Make use of what your surroundings. Use the world as a weapon. It added more fun for me as well, to be honest with you, because like it's all well and good just doing like oh yeah, I'm punching you. No. I'm grabbing you by the legs and then just lariating you into a van, truck, wall, whatever's nearby. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm bleeding. Oh wait, it's someone else's blood. I've seen too many of the outtakes now. I have the lines they didn't use stuck in my head. Yeah. But it's such a great sort of, two movies. Like even the second one still has great bits. Domino in that, and Peter, and getting Brad Pitt to do the Invisible Dude. That was just like that's just great. You just don't know if he's actually there, and then actually you see him, and you go, "Oh my god, it's Brad Pitt!" Oh, great times. Fun times. I think we need some more Deadpool, actually. More Deadpool in the world. Makes things better. It's all good then. Well, I'd like to think so anyway. Life was simpler back then. Oh, oh, you see my secret stash of treats. What's going on? His landlady, yeah. Cocained up landlady who's blind. Drive-by farting as well. I'm back again. Hey, hello again, MZ. Hello. You're going to be dead for like 4 minutes. And now I need to rewatch the movies. Yeah, exit stage left. Was that exit stage left? Because I used to do that from Snaggletooth. Or Snagglepuss, wasn't it? Snagglepuss. Exit stage left. As he liked to say. Guy came here looking for you, real Grim Reaper type. I don't know. Might further the plot. McAvoy Stewart, the timelines was confusing. Well, that scene in the second one when they open the door and you've got them all standing in there and they're like, and then just close the door again. Yeah. Had a D&D game where one of the players, a Dragonborn paladin, was in the doorway of a house and a zombie was behind the door reaching through the window at him. The crit failed, he broke his hammer, so he just grabbed the door, slammed it open and bashed the zombie against the wall of the house. Exactly. Why get your tools dirty? Use what's available. Deadpool. Yeah, Snagglepuss, yeah. Exit stage left. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Okay, what was... we've established Deadpool is a staple amongst the people watching here. So, least favourite superhero. Or heroes, sorry. So, now, my personal favourite superhero, I suppose, if I'm taking it out of like the Avengers side of things, I would have to say now. Right now, so from the Avengers movies, okay, yeah, so that's it. From the Avengers movies and cinematic universe, right? So my favourite, I would say, would have to be Thor now, purely because of Thor Ragnarok, and obviously him working with the Guardians in Endgame and stuff. So that totally changed. I didn't mind Thor. He wasn't my favourite. You know, even from the old comic book days, he wasn't really my favourite or anything like that. But Chris Hemsworth, Taika Waititi, Vision in Thor Ragnarok completely did it for me. Least favourite, again, I would probably go on the superhero side of things, not villains. I'm not including villains, that would be for another question. So superheroes, I'm going to include from movies. I'd probably say Cyclops. I don't get on with Cyclops. Scott Summers is just not my bag. But yeah, that's me. So what have you got? My fave RPG was Homebrew with our improvised weapons. Weapon skill, which was created because somebody broke their sword and fended off some monsters with a rake. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for Deadpool 2? Well, we don't have that kind of money. I love how stealing the suit as well. That was proper badass. My halfling back in Warhammer roleplay many years ago spent several turns polishing his armour, then sneaking behind Drakenfels to open the curtains. Oh, so that is utilizing the world around you to great effect, Rob. Well done. Of course, the DM did give me some points for originality, but ultimately did not kill him. Boo! My favourite is always Wolverine. Followed all the comics, later Deadpool. Now I don't really have a list. That's fair. No, I like Wolverine. In the comics, I liked Wolverine when he was Logan, when he lost his adamantium. I don't know, just I liked, I just liked the whole thing that, because obviously having adamantium is a major boost to his character. But I just like in the comic books the way he was drawn, where like obviously the bone claws were coming out. It's just like, oh, he just felt more brutal, if you know what I mean. I really, I just like that comic book series in particular. I would say before the Thor thing, my favourite superhero was actually Nightcrawler, older Kurt. I think Alan Cummings in like the X-Men movies, I really liked how he portrayed him, and when you see him going at through like the was it the presidency he was attacking when it was under mind control, where it was just like teleporting and all that sort of stuff. But even from the old X-Men cartoons, I always liked Nightcrawler. It was just that little bit different to everyone else, and he had a nice little sort of niche to his personality as well. So so Nightcrawler. Otherwise, it's Thor from Ragnarok onwards. That's awesome, Rob. Yeah, no, it was. That was a great way to deal with vampires. Ha ha! Open the curtains. I want to die a natural death at the age of 102, like the sea of Detroit. Fave Wolverine because he's a Canadian, or Iron Man because Iron Man as well. Yeah, at least would be Superman because oh look, I can do everything. How boring. Yeah, I like the Superman films, but I think with it's that thing where he can do everything. It does get a little bit, all right, he's going to do this and do that. Admittedly, in the films when he lost his superhero powers, that was interesting. Yeah, Christopher Reeve, was he was my Superman. I think Henry Cavill now, he's done a good enough job. I think he's got a bit of personality to him as well, and I like it when he's not being Superman, when he's being Clark, how he conducts himself and goes about things. I actually like that. But what's his face? Brendan Roth, Superman. I don't know if Nick Cage had managed to get the gig. I've seen the pictures of him in the super suit. Not really my cup of tea. But you don't know, because he might have done a really good job because he was such a big comic book fan, and Superman was like his favourite, so he might have done a good job because of that passion. But yeah, who knows? Hello, lass. Hello. Oh, you're on my stream. Oh my god. Aloha. I'm kind of lurking for now as I am in the middle of a game of AOS, but want to drop it. Well, thank you very much, Les. That is very appreciative. I know it's normally the other way around. I'm dropping in onto your streams and being drunk and annoying and coming up with random hashtags. So thank you. Lovely. That's yeah. It's not Friday Fright Night Fright Club. But it's always lovely to have you here, and everyone else, So we're just talking about superheroes and stuff. I'm waiting for some wash to dry, so we're talking geek stuff, which is always good. Old Man Logan was, yeah. No, I say there's always great little like the what ifs and the crossovers and in the comic books and all that sort of stuff. But as I say, I'm always more of a mainstream sort of fan of like X-Men and Avengers. You know, in the comic books, Avengers and X-Men, I didn't touch with a barge pole really. I never got into those side of things. I know they're obviously more mainstream, but like comics, I'm trying to think now, because I used to go down to Forbidden Planet in London quite a lot when I was like a teenager at school, and just go down there. It was mostly anime I was like into, so like Akira was my go-to, or like Neil Gaiman's Sandman, which I remember I was going to buy it, but it scared me because there was a lot of writing in it, and I wanted. But I want more cartoons. I want more cartoons in my comics, not all these words. I might have picked up the wrong one. I don't know, but it was like that's very wordy, and I wasn't in my reading phase back then. It didn't happen until I was about 18, and my girlfriend at the time, who was working in a library, discovered Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And she said, I think you'll like this. Read it. And I did, and I loved it. And that's when I started reading again. So, yes. Oh, yeah, that was a good Nightcrawler. I didn't like what the dude's, whatever the dude's name is, who did the movie based on him. Well, in the first lot of all the Future Past, prequel, sequel, dequels, whatever those ones were. Yeah, because that was I don't remember who played him in that one. I know I think it was Alan Cummings who played him in the first like Avengers movies, but I don't know who played him in the second one. That's gonna bug me now. Yeah, the films were quite good, but the character himself is pretty boring so far as superheroes go. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes. That bit when he was disguised as a sofa. It's brilliant. See his face. Oh dear. The problem with Superman, in my opinion, is that he's supposed to be essentially literally the perfect being. He was an alien, he wasn't human, and he had more intelligence, etc. That's the thing. It's like, when I was watching Supergirl, I watched like the first season or so of Supergirl, and you had the Martian Manhunter turn up. And then I was looking into Martian Manhunter, and he's like, oh yeah, he's as strong as Superman, he's as clever, and all that sort of stuff. His only weakness is fire. And you think, right, Superman gets an incredibly rare mineral from an exploded planet, and Martian Manhunter gets fire. It's just like, really? That's like surely that's one of the worst sort of flaws to have as a superhero. It's like something that's pretty common and readily available with the right resources. Go down really easily. Best Batman is still Adam West or Keaton. I'm still a Keaton fan. Batman Returns is my favourite Batman movie. And that's closely followed by Dark Knight Rising, or Dark Knight Rises, because I loved. It might be associated because it's got both have Catwoman in, but I just loved the whole backdrop. Like, and I would say I do like Batman, whichever it is with Joker. That was pretty cool. So. Yeah, I'd go top three would be Batman Returns, Dark Knight Rises, and The Dark Knight, in that sort of order. Because I like the thing that gets me with Dark Knight Rises. I know like with Heath Ledger's portrayal of Joker, but I don't know. It's just the music. I really like the music in Dark Knight Rises. So like when things start going. You get the build up, and it really sort of like gets the adrenaline and like the hairs on the back of your neck going. Once Batman's turning up and he's returned, save Commissioner Gordon and he's going to work against Bane and the League of Shadows. I really enjoyed that, but as a singular performance, Heath Ledger as Joker was, yeah, brilliant. You know, and he did open up the whole sort of Joker verse. You know, I've never seen the Batman cartoons that Mark Hamill had done the voices for, and I know like he's got quite a big following from them, but you know, from the live action stuff, yeah, no, I liked Heath Ledger anyway. It was in like one of my favourite films, Knight's Tale. But yeah, he just brought that whole thing about Joker. You know, how he was. It's different from Cesar Romero's Joker, which has, you know, a special place because it's Cesar Romero, and the way he just like run around being a complete, you know, prince of mayhem as Joker is. Keaton is Batman. Pardon me. Man after my own heart. Adam West and Keaton got to act Batman. Adam West voiced the animated film before he died, and Keaton was in the Flashpoint miniseries. Speaking of issues with lockdown, so the idiot comic producer changed their distributor, which completely foobarred all comics coming out, and they're still getting back to normal. That's annoying. But you can't be a comic actor usually in a tragedy. They have the skill. Yeah, I know. So some of the, you know, comic comedians actually, because obviously a lot of like, famous comedians always have that sort of darkness within them, and it's just like in a serious role or something like that, they can really tap into it and, you know, really add to a character and make it more believable. Have you read a Kingdom Come graphic novel? I have not. I don't know if anyone else. Heath Ledger was a great Joker. Best film Joker. Yeah, that line, you know, with Jack Nicklaus doing "Every Ever Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight," yeah, it just sticks there, and you know. But I know, actually, another good Joker was the young guy in Gotham. The first guy to play Joker, or you know who's to become Joker in that. He really got how I thought Joker. Yeah, his sort of manic ways that he went around things and terrorized, and you know, the laugh, the smile, and all that sort of thing. So he was a bit of a cross between, I suppose, in some respect, like Jack Nicholson's Joker. In some respects, like I think, like maybe the cheekbones. I don't know. And it had a little touch of Heath Ledger in there, but he made his own version of Joker, and I liked watching him in that. Also, like in Gotham, the Penguin and Riddler in that was just like, oh my god, it was like a bromance romance. It's just like, oh, those two get a room, but I loved it. Mark Hamill is amazing as Joker, but Ledger was brilliant in the film, and I miss him lots. Yeah. Spoiler warning: Mark Hamill's Joker and Skeletor saying the same. Oh, thank you. Nicholson was really good as well. And Lord, who did Luthor in Superman? He was. Oh, the Gene Hackman, or in the original sort of Superman movies. Because yeah, he you know, there's no other Lex Luthor. As you know, I know what's his face. I can't even think of his name. He was in Justice League or whatever he was in. No, was it Batman versus Superman, wasn't he? The guy from the films. I can't even bother to think of his name. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't him. No, I can't. I can see him, but I cannot think of his name. He wasn't. No, not John Cena. Michael Snow wasn't him. Oh, this is annoying. I kept thinking Gene Wilder, which I knew was right. A similar type of hair, perhaps. I don't know. Dean Hackman, when he had hair, like when he had hair as Lex Luthor, was slightly curlier, much like Gene Wilder's was in Stir Crazy and Silver Streak, and Blazing Saddles. Young Frankenstein. Frankenstein! As he would also always correct us. Right. Let's get some paint going. Jesse Eisenberg, that's it, yeah. I was thinking Michael Cera for some reason. I just get those two because I was thinking, oh, he's the guy who plays Scott Pilgrim, but it wasn't. Yeah, it's, because that freaked me out, because obviously I know, like with the DC universe, they have the cities based on actual cities, and they rename them. So like Metropolis, which was New York, Gotham, which was based on Chicago, and the capital city, which is like LA or something like that. Whereas Marvel just uses the names that they are, sort of thing. So when I saw, obviously, like Dark Knight Rises, and at the end, spoilers for anyone who's not seen it, they're flying the bomb out into the bay, out into the open water where it's going to detonate and save the city and all that. And then you watch like Batman versus Superman and realise that Gotham is like Toronto. Toronto and Detroit, who are just opposite each other. You know, just there's bridges that go across. You can drive across into Metropolis from Gotham, and that just freaked me out. And I'm like, wait a sec. So you're saying where Superman lives is like a 5-minute fly for him to get to Gotham, and that sort of. I didn't like that. It was like, that's way too close. And it's not, Metropolis is meant to be New York. That's meant to be on the east, And that, I didn't like that because then you're thinking like, I suppose in some respects it's like with the Avengers when you like the Battle of New York and you're going, well, where's the X-Men? They live there. Why aren't they getting involved? But yeah, obviously the whole rights thing. But it would have been cool. Just having some of the X-Men running around, superheroes getting involved, kicking ass, taking names. But sometimes we just don't get what we all crave. No, not all crave it, but it would have been cooler. But it would be nice to get our friend Deadpool into. Well, he technically did get into the Marvel superhero cinematic universe with that little stint he done the other week, because he had a character who was from, I can't remember what the thing was, but it was a character who is from the Marvel cinematic universe in an advert with him. So that was his way of getting into it or something. Technicalities, or just get what's his face, Wolverine, to be in a Deadpool movie. How could you do it? How could you do it? Yeah, at least you had to write. Yeah, no, that's fine. First name, it's fine. Remember, these superheroes are territorial, so yeah. Yeah, well, you get that with the was it the Defenders, isn't it? Like Luke Cage, he's up in the the Bronx or whatever it is. Is it the Bronx? Well, no, it's Harlem, isn't it? But yeah, I get that obviously, but then they're like different leagues, isn't it, of superheroes? So you get like the ones that go out and about. Yeah, Avengers go everywhere. And technically, so do the X-Men, didn't they? They don't just hang around New York. We have our X-Jet, the converted Blackbird SR-71. Oh, if anybody wants 7 minutes of fun awesomeness, later on, or whenever you disappear, because obviously I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight, but who knows. There's a thing on YouTube called the LA Speed Test, or LA Speed Story. And it's a retelling of something that happened with a guy who used to be a SR-71A Blackbird pilot. And it is him telling it. It is hilarious. I just absolutely love, and I often re-watch and listen to it, just telling this story. It's just brilliant. Yeah, so I recommend that LA Speed Story here on YouTube. So yeah, you might notice I just smudging with the finger. I don't mind that. Get a bit of smudge action going. Build more in the middle here, because the badge bit here doesn't matter if it's a bit lighter anyway. Oh my god! I just thought I know who the Emperor is now. Unless he's Horus, I could see a whole crossover thing for Curious. And so who is the Emperor now then? Don't hold it in, because obviously you might not be able to keep that information in forever. We need to know, Mousebait. Who is the Emperor now? He's not meant to be revealed for another sort of 28,000 years or so. Thereabouts. Let's see what he's up to. Pop round for tea. Ah, Professor X. He is a very powerful psyker. He got the brain power. And no, I've not drunk beer. I'll do the drinking for you, don't worry. Yeah, so the reason I'm obviously lightening these bits back up again is that when getting the old oil weathering on, it will tone back down again. Because when you do oil weathering, so from that, and you do the oil weathering, you get that sort of yellowy tinge to it, like so. So you want it to be light again. I'm out sadly, went to local on tap place and didn't have much for dark beers, so what little I got when I went fast. Thank you. Yeah, I probably nudged it as I was moving stuff around. Yeah. Right. Bitsy bits. Still trying. I didn't bring the hairdryer in for some reason, which is annoying. So instead, I'll try and find my Basilic almond, which he found without much trouble. I'm going to start doing some cable works on these little puppies. You're really making me want to paint Mr. Lee. Well, you can paint me if you want, you know. I can do some posing, perhaps. Like your French girls. You Canadians, the French Canadians. Sorry, the alcohol might have been, or it might be coming down with some sort of brain fart. I don't know. Anything could be happening. We're in a very weird place today. Obviously, we've been talking about superheroes and Deadpool, which is never a bad thing. You guys might know. Is it true that welds on tanks don't rust? I can't recall where I heard it, but someone said they usually just metal paint having worn off. I'm not actually sure on that. Any of you guys know about that? I know. I would have thought they would have rust because, well, weld in welders stuff is still. I don't know. No, I don't know. It might be because obviously if it's welding something, it might actually be galvanizing, so it's resistant to rusting compared to like steel and the like. So possible. Anything's possible if you believe. I was trying to remember, like seeing pictures of like weathered or rusting things. If I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was say. Like if it was aluminium, was it like see that doesn't rust as such. Depends what they're using for the weld, I'd imagine. But I suppose depends on how authentic. If you're painting up an old tank or something, old kits, you got the weld marks on there, then yeah, you might look into those old like archival photographs of tanks that have been in the field and suffered at the hands of the weather. I'll move that out of the way. Aluminium tank. Oh, I've nudged the camera again. Sorry. Yeah, I think the aluminium is more on the welding the seams, but I don't know. Well, unless we're not. Well, no, we are talking tanks, weren't we? Well, are we talking fuel tanks? As I say, one of my favourite one of my old favourite jokes that I used to like the tank was like two fish are in a tank, one goes to the other. How do we drive this thing? What is wrong with this camera? Oh, there you go. Curvy brush. Aniline doesn't corrode if bolted up to steel. Corrodes really bad. I've been trying to find the colour of pictures because it's hard to see on black. Yeah, that's true. Love the Warlord, but it barely fits under my lights. I may need to move some lighting around. Conventional human tanks. What about Eldar? It's made of shiny paper anyways. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like with Eldar tanks, are Eldar tanks actually made of wraith bone? Do the bone singers just basically just create it by playing a tune on their recorders? These are the questions of our time. So Eldar was my first completed army was at Biel-Tan, Swordwind, because I really liked Aspect Warriors over Guardians, but I only ever played one game of it and got owned by a GW staffer at the Oxford Street store, and I didn't play again until the next millennium, pretty much. Always imagine Elder Tech to me more about cloaking and somehow diffusing energy from shots through fields and such. Well, I think there's probably rust on the Grot tank wells. Keep searching for my other tanks, just be somewhere accurate. 3D printers for Eldar 3D printers. Yeah, they're not bone singers, they just basically just press print. Let them cure a bit, bang, there you go. The oh, incidentally, if any of you wasn't aware, Last Games, who was on earlier on, her and her other half, Luke, aka Harry, actually have a 3D printing store called Rise from Resin. If you want interesting little models, they print off really nice, interesting sort of sculpts and stuff. They've got a few deals from some designers and that they can print off for them. But yeah, check them out because they've got some good, interesting models on there. There's a really cool dragon on there, and they've got some new stuff just coming in as well. So it's always worth having a look. That's always worth it for those little sort of, as I like to call them, sorbet projects, where you just do a little model, got nothing to do with the games you want, or even if you want to have a character representing you on a sort of D&D thing, they've got loads to choose from. I'm not on commission or anything like that. I'm just saying they do some good stuff there. Always trying to help out friends. So, although I've done Grot, we let our tank armor completely cure in the light of our sun. Okay, the UV lamp. Oh, Rise from Resin. Rise from Resin. They're on Instagram under that name. So definitely worth checking out. So they were quite speedy as well. Because when they've only been going for a couple of months now. But I did order a couple of models from them, and it was quite quick. I was actually surprised, because they like print to order basically. So yeah, it was quite a quick turnaround really from order, and considering it was during lockdown as well, it was most impressive. But yeah, you say they're on Instagram, I believe they're on Twitter as well. So for those little side projects, and they've got one of the more popular models is a big tiddy frog girlfriend. It was they actually done like a painting competition, and they've got a new one which is it's another big tiddy thing. It's tastefully done, but it's just still like it's a funny, cool little model, just as I say, little side project. Oh, I can't think what the new one is. I was telling me about the other day. Wow. Right. Might have to... What time I have, but get annoying. Getting in my way. I'm going to do the old Horus Lupercal. Well, not Horus Lupercal, Abaddon. I did that once using a toilet roll tube. Just pulled my hair through and had it standing up. There's a little hair sticking out the top. It was funny. Right. And top. Oh, that's not what I want. What do I want? I don't. No, I don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that either. This is annoying. I know you should be in here. Still not what I'm looking for. There it is. Balthazar. Balthazar Gold. Oops. I had a tissue. Oh, there it is. I could have saved that for my dice. I'll stick that in there. Alright. Right. Legio Magna. Oh. Alright, hold on a sec. Because I did save all the paint schemes for various Titan Legios. A little archive for easy reference. You sure you don't want to do Oberon? Oh yeah, so right, yeah, so Legio Magna. Because you've got a lot of transition there. So obviously with like I would go with the black on the shoulder pads. I would go with personally Corax over Leadbelcher. And I'd probably use the Corax, Corvus black, sorry, over Leadbelcher on the shoulders. And then I'd use the Corvus on the trim for the lower sections where it's all the oranges transitions. Now with the plates, I would probably experiment and be tempted with doing maybe a Wraithbone base on the plates, and then with the maybe Cassandra Fugan orange, and then sort of going darker on the orange at the lower bases. So maybe I said that's probably where I'd go experiment with Wraithbone, then Fugan. No, not Fugan orange. Sorry, Gryph-hound first, and then to get a darker tone, use the Hugan orange, and maybe try doing some wet blending. So it would be a bit of a test. And with the higher areas, so for the upper parts of the plates, I'd probably try and use a yellow glaze or something, like if there was any Lamenta yellow anywhere. You could try Cassandra, because then that still gives you an orangey tinge to it as it goes down lower. I might give that a go, actually, if you want. When I've got a moment, I can experiment on your behalf. See what works. And obviously with the gold at the top, I would definitely go with the Liberator gold, because it's a light gold, not as dark as Retributor. So, but that's how I see the colours on that scheme. Yeah, so that's how I would quick and easy it, mate. Literally, I'd go Wraithbone. Though I'd need to test it, though. I would definitely need to test it. Because now I'm having a second thoughts. Now I'm thinking actually just doing all the plates in Liberator Gold, and then trying with the Gryph-hound, and then the Fugan and that. So it's just a case of sort of like just trying to mix up the blends on the armour plates, basically. So, because with orange over gold, it does give you more of an oranginess to it. Plus, because you've got it on the trim, it saves you having to do the trim. You only just have to touch it up. Or as Gene Sealer says, Solaria. Do Solaria. We'll try it next weekend. Yeah, because with my they do blend really easy, as Rob says. If you go onto Instagram and look through for my Legio Ozydax, like Warlords or something, where I've done the Ozydax symbol, that is using contrasts, like wet blending over white, basically. So it gives that tequila sunrise look, so like yellowy, orangey, red sort of thing. So I literally used Iandan yellow and Blood Angels contrast on the very bottom, but then I sort of mixed them in between a little bit to orangey-ize the red and give the transition, so while they're still wet, and just muck about with it. It is quite easy to do. It doesn't take that much work, effort, but obviously on a bigger like plate scale, I would, especially on like a Warlord, I would do 2 plates at the same time. So like if you was doing the 5 plates, I'd do the 5 plates at the same time, so you can keep the sort of same transition in both. And then the same with the leg greaves, individual bits around the bottom. Because once you've got the sort of the knack of doing it, you'll just repeat all the time. But yeah, so yeah, I'd definitely muck about with contrasts with that. But as I said, until I can get something to play about with, I'm just seeing if I had a spare bit of Right, Felix, if you want to hold on, well, and everyone, sorry, if you could just bear with me for a minute, I'm going to nip in, grab some spare parts, armour plates, and I'll do some experimenting whilst I'm still waiting for these bloody things to dry. So I'll be literally about a minute or so. So No, it's too big. Right, back in a sec. It might have been less than a minute. I don't know. Right. So like little experimentations. So I think somebody asked about the storeroom. So that was a rough tester I did, which was using Calidor Sky, and I think I might have done some Drakenhof over that and then varnished. It looked okay at the time. Right. So yeah, so where I use sort of tests with paints just to see if it's the right hue or blue. So that was using the Crag blue on there, and that was using Calidor Sky, then obviously washed over with Drakenhof when I was trying to see which blue I preferred. So that's a good thing about having all these spare parts, is that you get to experiment quite a lot, if you know what I mean. So this has already been done over lead belcher. So if you're saying about using copper, I've got this one here, which was Skull Crusher brass. So see how that goes as well. So where was my found? It's shaking all the paints. Right. Now I've not got my, because normally I have the picture up for reference, but because I have to use my phone to see you guys, I'm not going to be able to do that. Out of the way. No. Wait in places. You know, the copper, or I said the brass, because that's what I used underneath my Fortidus, Legio Fortidus. I used Skull Crusher brass, and then Fugan Orange. Not Fugan Orange. I keep on saying Fugan Orange. It's Griffhound. Damn you! Right, what do I want to do? I want to actually. I'm going to go in with the Iandan first. Right. Now I'm actually concerned. How just adding in some more of the Iandum, he says. I can get the bloody thing to open. You can see how it's sort of transitioning from the light into the sort of orangey bits. Right, I'm just going to flick on back to the picture again. So there is a definite sort of ready part to it. Yeah. Quite a bit pooling there. You can see the transition there, so obviously just trying to avoid straight lines. Try it with the yeah, sorry I'm not doing much talking because I'm trying to see what I'm doing and focus on what I'm trying to aim to get. I'm actually going to try with the one that I keep on mentioning, Fugan Orange, on this one. I'm all trimmed out for a bit, I need a break. Maybe I should have brought the hairdryer in, really. That might have actually helped speed this up. Now, so this is pure paint theory. This is just adding Cassandra. With blending, it's easy to blend from light to dark when using darker colours. I use the golden rule, which is usually correct. Wherever your brush leaves an area, you should leave behind the most pigment. No? Wise words. It is therefore easier to blend into a darker area because you create a natural shade. Most of it is just practice though. I can't wait to get back home and try this. But in the meantime, continue building Titans, so when I do get home, I'll have a whole leisure ready to paint. Yes, but you got 2 weeks on the road, haven't you? So lots of stuff for you to be doing. So that's using, so your Iandan yellow as the base, I did use Fugan Orange, but I think the Cassandra Yellow has actually had quite a nice... It's very subtle between the two here. Obviously, once that's dry as well, it might give a different sort of look. With that, it's obviously more of a definite using just the contrasts. So the Blood Angel red, the Gryph-hound orange, and the Orlando at the top. But that's over Skull Crusher brass. That's over Liberator gold. So it's a nice little interesting thing. I like working with washes and contrast. They actually do help out in a lot of ways when trying to do stuff. So it's all part of your skill set at the end of the day. Having certain paints to assist you in whatever sort of endeavour you're trying to achieve. So it's totally worth it. But yeah, you could go for a little bit more red at the bottom. Quite a subtle transition. As I said, I would need to sort of experiment it for a couple of days, to be honest with you, just to see what paints work best in what way. It's like when I was doing the Fortidus scheme, I spent about a week just painting up these bloody things, different colours, different bases. I started off with lead belcher, but orange comes out quite brown over like silvers. So that's why I went with the warmer colours and found Skull Crusher brass was a nice base to work with. And then, say, just over with the Gryph-hound and then Fugan Orange over that. Worked a treat in that respect. Back on the lead belcher. Yeah, so that was, as I say, that's doing the Cassandra Yellow over Iandon with a bit of Fugan as well. But I think you could bypass the Fugan and just go with Cassandra. I haven't got any red washes, so I wouldn't be able to sort of see how that would affect on there. But you say it's very... So you've got the lighter, and so maybe going over the top with if you had any sort of like Lamento yellow, but that's extremely rare to find that nowadays. I think Valrak bought them all. So like Lee did, start with the lightest, the yellow, and then work your way down, yes. Yeah, finished the Warlord, working on a Reaver, got a bunch of weapons done. Next up, 2 Warbringers and 2 War Masters. Ooh, nice. Either way works really. You can always layer up with more shade. I really like the more subtle transition. Trial and error is always fun. Yeah, exactly. You don't you don't learn until you do experiment. So you've got to see what works for you. Because I say you could do this and go, I don't like the look of it. You know, experiment, test, repaint over. We have all these spare parts from these Titan kits to do this. So it's not going to hurt to experiment, and it's going to help you out in the long way. Yes. But yeah, normally it takes a couple more goes of me testing out ideas before I'd be sort of happy with a scheme that I would paint, because that's what I'm doing. Like when I do my little test, it's so I'm happy with the result, and you know, it's I don't want to be painting something I'm not keen on painting because it's a negative and it doesn't make me want to paint them. If you know what I mean. Agrax is my best friend when it comes to shading and doing trim. I managed to get a really nice light sea green by using Coelia green shade over Space Wolf. Quite nice. Yeah, sometimes you just find these little paint combinations that you're just like, oh, I like that. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I will one day. And you go back and use it. Lots of Agrax everywhere. Hold his breath as he paints over here. That's the secret. You had to go in with the Gungan there, didn't you, Mousebait? I was I've been watching the Clone Wars because I've never watched the Clone Wars, and where one of my friends, Scott, does I've mentioned it before. He does a podcast over Star Wars and stuff, and I've been listening to them on my way into work recently, and where they sort of watch the films and they sort of go through what was wrong, what's sort of their opinion of what's there and stuff. But obviously Jar Jar Binks, not a lot of people like him. There are fans of him. Obviously the younger generation don't mind him too much. Obviously older people don't have a high opinion of poor Jar Jar. Obviously, if you ever watched Simon Pegg's sort of like early sort of comedy shows, Spaced, you know exactly how much he likes Jar Jar Binks. But I always thought that he should have been pulled up on war crimes because it was him who basically sold the Old Republic into bondage with the Emperor. Although, yes, he might have been manipulated, but it was him who gave the vote to give Palpatine emergency powers. So I hold him responsible. But yeah, I've just been watching the Clone Wars, and I know like the Clone Wars make the prequels a bit better, where certain things happen and you go, oh, right, and you understand what's going on and all this. Gives them more context of what's actually happening in the films and helps tidy them all up. But God, Judge, So I just watched an episode the other day on a diplomatic mission as Representative Binks, and he couldn't sit down in the strap, and the senator who was with him basically takes off his harness to lock him into a harness, and then they get shot down and crashes, and the senator dies, and that's because Jar Jar could not just do the simplest thing. And he's just like, okay, yes, he might save the day later on with his antics, but he's still killed a senator that, you know, It didn't need to happen for him being a silly sod. Oh, Jar Jar. Yeah, Jar Jar does stick in your head. You love him. You have to have someone to hate in these things. Glazes are amazing, yeah. Now I've learned how to use them. The power to speak does not make you intelligent. Yes. Lisa Jar Jar Binks. Sorry. I just think he just suffered from them just trying to make a humorous character and just tried too hard. Yeah, you know. But anyway, that's him. Not seen Clone Wars and for sure have missed some. I just like Ashoka. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Obviously, I've seen her in Mandalorian, and I know of her, but I'd never watched Clone Wars. So I tried starting earlier in the year, and I got sort of stuck with the animation in the first episode, and I just thought, and I watched it for about 15 minutes, and I just thought, and I stopped and watched something else. But again, because of my friend Scott's love for it and all the information and stuff that you get from the stories, I thought I'd give it a go. And yeah, obviously after I got it through that episode, I started watching them a bit more. And obviously the starts remind me of the old sort of like, Pathé Newsreel, the war so far. The Trade Federation are doing some naughty stuff over here, but the Republic are to come in here with the heroes of Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, and General Kenobi, and all that sort of stuff. And I like those little starts because it just reminds you of that old styley sort of news report sort of thing, and then you get into the little story. But no, he has actually grown on me, and Anakin has grown on me as well. And Obi-Wan is just awesome. Absolutely love Obi-Wan. One of my favouriteest Star Wars characters. Hello there. Don't be afraid, little one. And George Lucas is amazing. A writer he is not, however, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't like Mandalorian. Don't need to apologise. I you know, we all have our own opinions here. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because you're not. You know, that's your opinion, and you're having entitled to it. I enjoyed it because I like Mandalorian, so I'm biased. And I do quite like Pedro Pascal as well, so double biased. You ever see him in Narcos? Or Narcos? Such a great actor. And obviously, Game of Thrones is the Red Viper of Dawn, Oberyn Martell. The best guide to how not to do revenge. Oberyn Martell. So the reason I like Mandalorian as well is that each episode kind of reminds me of roleplay games of Star Wars that I've been in, because it just feels like they're telling roleplay games, and so it sort of appeals to me. I do enjoy it for that basis. the opening bits. I like how all the characters are portrayed. Unfortunately, Disney isn't following the extended universe, which is so. Yeah, well, this is the thing with the expanded universe, which they basically got rid of, and I know why they did it. Because when Disney took over that and said, no, we're doing away with the expanded universe, to me, it was because they wanted Chewbacca. And in the expanded universe, was he's setting The Force Awakens 30 years after Endor, about 15 to 20 years after Endor, Chewbacca dies, saving Leia. But they wanted to have him, so they just got rid of it. Plus, by getting rid of it, they can reinvent it and bring in new stories and stuff, because obviously there were so many books that had already been written in the expanded universe and everything, but it would have been nice to have kept, I'm not even sure if the Thrawn trilogy holds up, because I thought it was like anything after Truce of Bakura, which happens immediately after Return of the Jedi. But I don't even know if that still is part. But it's the Legacy Legends, isn't it? It's not the expanded universe. It's just known as Legends or something. They barely pay anyone as it is. Well, yeah, they're spending out like $4.5 billion to buy the rights for it off of old Georgie boy. It's not as if he hasn't earned some coin out of it, but they've not really. I think they just rushed ahead with doing Star Wars without proper thought. And that's the thing. Is like the thing about like the prequels, and George Lucas said this, was basically you can't just redo what you've already done. You've got to do something new, which he did, the prequels. But there were certain things like, I know he was trying to set up the reason behind why Anakin, because of the abandonment issues and stuff like that, death of his mother, and things that would sort of get into his mindset to like, oh yeah, he must save the woman that he loves, and he's got to go around and do this and be manipulated into doing what he did. But it's there's just certain other things with the storytelling element. It says a lot. Where obviously I know like the whole thing about Anakin and Padme's like love, romantic things in Attack of the Clones, like how that all came around and stuff, and what we saw, it is a little bit cringy, a little bit like, and the actors, I don't think they had much of much chemistry between them, and maybe it's because they had to act in a certain way. I don't know, but it just didn't. It wasn't, you couldn't really get behind it. It just seemed a little bit. It just seemed weird in some respects. But I remember listening that what we saw was actually an improvement of what they did, because they actually brought Carrie Fisher in to actually do some write-ups to give a little bit more to the actual whole thing. So if that's what we got after she's given some treatment to it, yeah. Anyway, I could rant for a while. This is why I don't like Disney. It's too watered down. I say Rogue One wasn't too. That was a little bit like, oh, a war movie. I actually watched it again recently because it sounds weird, but out of the sort of one-off movies, so Rogue One and Solo, I enjoy Solo a lot more. and I've watched Solo a lot more compared to watching Rogue One. I've watched Rogue One at best 3 times. I know I've only actually watched it entirely for 2. So, yeah. I've obviously watched the Vader scene multiple times because that is a cool scene. But Solo I've watched about 4 or 5 times and I enjoy it. It's a nice little romp. And it actually made me feel similar to how I felt when I was watching Star Wars. You know, it took me back, that whole sort of like Star Wars magic and all that sort of stuff, because it was different and it was enjoyable. Oh, Lucas failed horribly with the whole Anakin arc completely, and he showed what a whiny teenager and completely stupid ignorance of all the Jedi. Nurtured Padme's diet. Yeah, Padme had some, like, you know, she was kick-ass, and yeah. And so the whole how Padme ended, that wasn't, yeah, because it sort of, it did bug me a little bit, because Leia in Star Wars, or was it Empire, and they were talking about remembering her mother and that how she was like sad. Well, you were born, you met her for 20 seconds. You know, it's just weird. It's all weird. I blame the dialogue again, not a writer, more of you know, for imagery and special effects and stuff like that. Yeah, you second to none sort of thing. But yeah, the writing side, because I know that, what was it? They Star Wars' only Oscar that it's won was for editing, I think, and that was to George Lucas's first wife, because she was doing all the editing and that for the films and like the original trilogy and stuff. So again, after obviously splitting up and not being involved in it, maybe having a better editor might have helped with things. Who knows? No, they probably didn't. Yeah, Rogue One is a good movie. I mean, it's got, you know, and what they again, where I've been listening to the podcast, I've been finding out like the troubles behind it, and they actually got obviously Gareth Edwards was the director and all that, but they had to actually get somebody in, and when they've done their reshoots, they've done like 5 weeks of reshoots, which is a bit longer than normal, and they actually did do a lot of actual, like, you know, new scenes and stuff, which is guy who came in, who he got a writer's credit because he'd gone in there and tidied up a lot of the script and stuff, which obviously went into reshoots. The Vader scene was added in the reshoots, and, like, you know, he just made it work more. But he got paid like $5 million to go in there to help get the film tied up and stuff. So, you know, it's good and enjoyable romp. And as I said, the Battle of Scarif is still cool, and it's good how it ends without being, you know, a typical sort of, oh yeah, we're about to die, let's kiss and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it didn't happen, and it was just a good story. It would have been cool if, because there was, I think, one bit where in one edition they do get off the planet, and all the reshoots, like obviously the bits that were cut out of the trailer that weren't in the trailers or whatever. But yeah, it would have been nice to have some of those characters actually survive, but it adds to the drama of it at the end of the day. That's why I keep on having issues with how the hell they're going to do Cassian Andor. If they're doing a series based on Cassian Andor, because at the start of Rogue One, Cassian Andor was a bit of an arsehole, and he's a cold-blooded, you know, killer. You know, and I know through the story of Rogue One, he actually, you know, not redemption, but his sacrifice had meaning, so it justified all the bad things that he'd done. So in a TV series with him and K2SO, you know, pre-Rogue One, they're just going to be going around murdering people. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, or if I'm not even sure it's still going ahead. It might be. Who knows? I had, honestly, it didn't help when the movie came out. I had teenagers. The prequels, I literally would have walked out of the second and third movie had 3 kids being there. I can watch stuff, and it's not until afterwards I'll go, yeah, and start picking up on it. I'll just, I'll accept what I'm being served, and then I'll have a think about it afterwards, sort of thing. I was just happy at the time just to have Star Wars again. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, like Darth Maul being killed in the first sort of big bad thing. He's back or whatever. Qui-Gon Jinn, I never got over Qui-Gon Jinn. And I know everyone has a big thing about midichlorians. I think the midichlorians themselves, because they have that in Mandalorian as the M count, the way I interpreted what he was trying to say is basically Jedi, like the midichlorians are a thing, and it's like if you've got more midichlorians in your body's makeup, DNA, you're more susceptible, or more sensitive to the Force. It's not these little alien creatures living inside you that make you use the Force. If that's how I always saw it. So I never had a problem with midichlorians. I think it was just the way it was presented. But then he's explaining it to an 8-year-old kid. So yeah. So you say, if somebody it's got to have some explanation. Not that they needed to explain it really, but they did. But Jedi have more midichlorians than a normal human, so they can tap into the Force. They're receptive to it, like a radio. So, yes. Oh, bugger, I don't do the other sides. Damn it. What's that? I think the whole dependence on green screen stuff didn't help either. Doesn't help the actors. So I know, with the guys that have been in acted in Dune, they were really having the sets built for them. Obviously, there's probably a little bit of screen work at times. But when you've got a film that's 90% screen work, you do have a hard time sort of being convincing with your acting, if you know what I mean. So that was probably a bit of a negative, because he just wanted to get all the technology, because obviously ILM at the time were still the big bad boys on the block. I think maybe Weta has now sort of overtaken them in some respects, because they also do the practical side of things as well as the trickery. That's where that was our goal, wasn't it? Yeah, I watched a bit of. Well, it was something again with the Mandalorian with the Ashoka bits, and they use a back projection screen now, which obviously back projection is donkey's years old. It was doing it in the 20s and 30s, but I didn't realise that scene where it's in the woods outside the town. I did honestly think that was real. So that's well done to them with their technology. That was pretty awesome. But then the actors can see that, so they can interact, sort of thing. So it helps with the believability. Yeah. So, getting stuck to stuff. Let's move that out of the way. It's coming along. It's working. It's working. I'll do some Balthazar gold. Come here, little brush. I never want to be an actor. So I used to do drama at school. Quite enjoyed that, and that's probably why I like roleplay. Just pretending to be somebody else and creating a character and with the background and all that sort of jazz. It's quite an interesting concept. And Dr. Amazon sellers fooled me again with a small bottle of Tamiya. Could have swore the larger. But at least I get a deck tan now and 2 jars of flat white. Grab those supplies. We always need them. Don't know when we're going to use them, but we always need them. Yeah, the drama at school too made me realise I wasn't made for it. Did like working on sets though. That's the creativity side of things. That's always good. You can go a long way with that sort of shiz. Like set design and all that. It's always, in this hobby as well, being able to do like that sort of stuff and build kits and scenic boards and all that sort of stuff, because you've got that skill set and aptitude, always looks awesome. Oh, that's what I was doing. I'll be using Balthazar Go for all my copper stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say I like it on like the little coils and stuff, because I don't have a lot of coppers around, and especially not to hand. But you get a real nice sort of. I like the darker tones, so it's like it's been in use and it's sort of you know, not exactly carbon steel, because I will go over these with Agrax as well. It stands out nicely as well. Drushy Violet, eh? Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because obviously with violet and sort of goldy sort of tones, that goes really well together anyway, doesn't it? Got some Alclad gold coming from my custodians as well, some clear top coat, which I can't wait for to varnish some of my armies. Have those materials to hand and unleash them. Just picking out these little details here. They all look like they deserve to have some Balthazar in them. Some people hate resin. I kind of like it. It takes a bit of preparing, but I find the detail really crisp. Yeah, you get some really nice kits out there. Maybe I should have done that in different colour. Those little pipes out. I'll get the Retributor back out again. And get those corners. I love resin, I just don't like rubbing the paint off, which is as much weathering as I do, can happen a lot. Yeah, no, yeah. I washed my Warlord parts twice, inspected every part for release agent, then build the model, coat of matte varnish, and then I'm ready for undercoat. It's just nice to have a top coat on stuff, so it's basically like maybe God can take it off, but nothing else. Yeah, loads of varnish before weathering and during and after and everything. Epoxy camera. That's scratching the paint on. I had to redo an entire part of my Dreadnought drop pod because of mold release. Yeah, that is the annoying thing with that. It's after all that work and then suddenly you just see it just flake away. Oh. Shivers, man, shivers. Henny gold. Old favourite. Old wall block bronze. That's why I wanted that in the first place, because I wanted that. I'm doing this, that, and the other, because I want to do. Balthazar again. After soaking forever, drying, scrubbing, sanding, varnish didn't do it well enough, obviously. That's a real shame. Totally. The resin was still tacky when I got it, apparently. It didn't cure completely. It's okay now, but when it's took a bit of TLC. Forge World 2 like to soak some things in the Relax agent, yeah. I've been quite lucky, but ever since I'm in a chat with the Titans Elements Club guys, I see a lot of horror stories and pics. Yeah, it is a shame that you can't really put it down to inexperience or anything like that. It's just luck of the draw with getting the kits, really. So I just thought I'd open the door. It's feeling very warm in here all of a sudden. yeah, it's just lucky. Sometimes, you know, I've not really had any major issues with release agent situations. I've had, I think, one, and that was with a Spartan, and I was on the tank tracks. Nowhere else, just on the tracks. So, not a major thing. But if it was on like the main body chassis sort of thing where there's been a lot of painting and weathering and stuff, tank tracks doesn't really matter. Clean it and then redo it. Had that with my Mega Grok tank too after using Tamiya and all things. Still had sections, minor bits, but it was reclean, prime and redo. Forge World resin is 90% mould release. I have to say, Cromlech has such better quality resin compared to Forge World. Still minor issues, it is resin, but overall great detail, better mould lines, not much mould release. So I was talking to someone the other day, I can't remember, but the thing is with like Cromlech and other sort of stores, because they're not really making on the same scale as like Forge World are, and yeah, obviously Forge World are going through moulds a lot quicker, so obviously you don't get, you know, that's when you have all these problems where they're just like making, get as much as they can out of each mould before trashing and starting again, sort of thing. So when you've got quantity versus quality, because they haven't got as much as a smaller operation in comparison, I guess. And that's the only way I see it, is that there's no reason why both companies, if they were on the same par, I'm sure that Forge World would have better quality in comparison, because they're not trying to mass produce so much stuff at one go, if you know what I mean. That's my theory. Yeah. Yeah, tank tracks. I've got a good bit of broken bits of my Grok tank tracks, but it's not a big thing of a deal because orcs. Yes, I did. Back with the old Finecast, I almost got into a bit of a, not an argument, but it was. I was at a stand where Jervis Johnson was talking to, like, you know, everyone at Games Day. You know, people would go up and have a chat with them, and somebody brought up about Finecast and the problems and that, and Jervis was just following the party line of, well, if you do find you have a model which has like air bubbles or theme formations, just take it back to your local Games Workshop, blah 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 blah. And I sort of chipped in because I was saying that I actually don't mind, you know, if there are a few, like, you know, sometimes some of the bits, like the default, you know, the bits that are damaged, not, or, you know, missing and all that, I found it actually added character. So it's like, you know, if there's a bit chipped out of a air bubble on a shoulder pad or something like that, you just say, oh well, it's been blown apart by a las cannon or whatever, you know. And I was just saying, you know, in the sort of, not in defence of Finecast, but I was just saying, you know, yeah, I actually, I don't mind it and all that. And he was just going, no, you should take it back to this. And he just kept repeating it. He was like looking at me going, will you just stop going on about this sort of thing? You should take it back there. And I was just like, well, okay. You know, I'm just saying, just adds a bit of character to your model. You know, and if you're you know, it depends on how advanced a modeler hobbyist you are, I suppose. But you do, obviously, certain things you can easily rectify. I think, was it they used to say, like, if you've got like a hole, like air bubble, you just fill it with super glue. You know, simple things like that. But some people demand perfection in their Forge World stuff. Oh yeah. I'm just a forgiving chap. If it's something obviously really bad, then yeah, like I've returned. Well, not returned. I've complained about one kit that I had, which was my very first Thanatar battle automata or automata, because it was like it had been squashed basically. So there were the lines, like the cast sort of lines, were like totally off, and I no way I could have done anything with it. And so obviously they went on about, you know, send photographs, I think. So I've done all that, and all right, yeah, no worries, we'll get something sorted out. And I was kind of hoping they were just going to send out a new model, but they didn't. They just sent the part. Oh, right, thank you. But obviously I got to keep the old part, which I then converted into a Archmagos Prime's Abeyant by turning it upside down. So it was like the main body of a Thanatar. So I just turned it upside down, added lots of bits and pieces to it, machndrites and what have you. And yeah, I made a hover Abeyant, and it looked pretty cool. I was happy with it. And then I obviously built my Thanatar, which was also very cool. Probably why I have 3 Thanatars. Because they are cool. Well, I know for a fact that Foodsworth need to redo their moulds. The Orcs, most went out of print and absolutely horrible quality. And completely depends on where it is. I had some Grotz Orcs, and well, you couldn't tell what was the model, what was not. That is bad. Oh, Jesus. But a friend of mine had a very good point. If not for Finecast, we'd not have modern plastics we have now. It was a necessary step towards new moulds, etc. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Experience helps with resin, and frankly, Forge World does have a lovely customer service, so it worked out. I think Avstic's got and made some Thanatars, which said kit was tough. My Warlord was such a clean cast, I barely had to clean off the mould lines. Yeah. But you'd expect that for the price. I mean, yeah, you've got to expect some sort of quality control. Things shouldn't get through. But again, some of these guys are just mere mortals. They're not gods like us. So, Rob, are you actually getting confident that you might be able to get this done in time for the Titan Walk? You do seem to be going great guns with it. Seeing as you've got isolation, could be worse things you could be doing with your time. The same. That'll do, pick, that'll do. Yeah, plus I doubt mould is wearing out considering how much they must do. My second radio still has mould slips on the weapons, but it's not as bad as the first one, which was really early in the mould runs. Legs on your stage tomorrow, so oh wow, dude, that is really impressive. Oh yeah, that sucks. Yeah, okay, fair point. Yeah, because obviously you took holiday, didn't you? Get some days off when you was waiting for the kit to turn up. Surely you can just sneak a little bit of painting. There's a little smidge, maybe. A little bit here and there. Just to keep yourself occupied. Wow. Where I slowed down are on the little details like verdigris, oil leaking out of pistons, bits of rust here and there. Yeah, say it's all those little bits that do take the time with those kits, isn't it? Really. Lots involved. But that's the thing with the hobby. Not so much to do. So much to carry on. Definitely sneak some extra timing. Good, good, good. What I wanted to hear. I didn't want excuses. I want titans. As I just really looking forward to meeting you in your Solaria engines. Even though they're on the wrong side. Lurking a bit, need some foodage. Yeah, well, we don't want you to starve, mouse. So, no worries. I missed that bit there. I'm doing all the armor plates in one go. That way, we get this start clean the same. Yeah. So as I was saying to Felix earlier on with these plans for Legio Magna, doing them, you know, the equal plating at the same time, just to safeguard you get the same coloration. Because if you're looking at two fire plates face on and they're different, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Oh, yeah, totally fudged up there. Touch up on R12. Shifty eyes at having 17 Warlords. Who's got 17 Warlords? Yeah, Rob's doing his big old Warlord. Yeah, I'll stick these on. I'm in the mood for gluing. I don't know whether I can just leave that out or give you the option not to have that thing. It just gets annoying when you're trying to do like the checker decals, because they don't have any checker decals for Warbringers, or sorry, for Quake cannon gun shields, which is a shame. They should do. It's kind of rude of them, if you ask me. Rude, rude, rude. I'm not even sure what cabinet I can put this one in. AT at the moment, 19 including the Auto Sinister. But I do have one more to build. So I have at the moment in my to build pile, I have a Warbringer and 2 Reavers. Haven't decided on who's going to get any of those for, so that's why I've probably held up a little bit. I really should put them into a traitor formation. but I haven't as of yet. We have 5 AT Warlords and 2 on the sprue still. I did find a nice littleish cabinet in IKEA. I think that's what a lot of people use. I think only Matt uses IKEA units, but not the glass, like the Ort Toff or whatever they're called. Yes. I've never seen a Side Titan in stock since. Yeah, because it's like a really awesome Titan. And really annoying, yeah. Battle Bling are running another hobby drive from now until October, and they've brought out a nice looking Side Titan head. Yeah, you've got some of their stuff, haven't you? Because I know you was participating in one of the Maximal Fire Battle Bling competitions. I see your entries on their page or whatever. Your Warlord, which is awesome. The AT one with the eagles on. And yeah, was it Custodian head on that? Their Custodian's head. But yeah, no, pardon me, sorry. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just gonna stick with, you know, the 412 stuff. I'm too much of a purist. I'll stick my nose up. No. There is some interesting looking stuff, but you know, especially like when you've got like Warbringer or the War Master weapon options, but there's no rules for them. So why have like a big macro cannon? Which, you know, in the world of WYSIWYG, yeah. But yeah, no, was it Jonathan or whoever who does the Battle Bling stuff? So they are really nice looking stuff. It's just that I'm not my bag for me. I'd like to stick with my. I've probably got, like, you know, obviously high on the autism spectrum. Yeah, like my boy. And I just decide that no, it's got to be that. It's got to be that. Right. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. Still got to do the. Oh, sorry. Some like Drushian violets and some more that on the. That's what I was going to do. The cabling on this guy here to completely bypass the cables on the head section. But no, so it's pretty happy with the look so far. Probably got to do a bit more cleanup, and then obviously doing like the Drushi and the Drakenhof on the ends here, and the same with the Quake cannon, and maybe just find an interesting angle to set the guns at. gonna choom you, dude. Choomed in the face. Destroyed by choomage. Too much choomage. I'll glue that into position at some point. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I like how they've come out. Obviously, I'd have to get them weathered properly with the old oil weathering at some stage. But not tonight. So, yeah, well, I think 11:45. I think I'm probably going to give that a finish off for the hobbying tonight. Let's see what's chatting with Rob and Felix. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. When you've got those like community challenges things, they are fun. Actually, like Rise from Resin do same sort of thing, like a monthly challenge of painting. It's normally like you get one of their models, and then then they give some sort of challenge of how to paint it. Like you might have to, and you could use like certain colours or something like that, or something random. Much prefer to build my own bits. But you're very creative with the kit bashing side of things anyway, so you've got that in the bag. Still have a War Master I need to finish with a macro cannon instead of a missile launcher assembly. Oh, is that the... Yeah, I've seen they've got those instead of the Revelator missile system. They've got some cannon sitting, fitting in there instead. Andrew, still here, but still getting still here, but keep getting lost painting. I think that happens to us all. When you get into the zone, and like it's like, oh, there's daylight. Ooh. But yeah, so yeah, I think that's going to be the painting for today on those bits. I still got to do some more. I've got some seraphim onto the weapons as well, because I do like to differentiate them from the actual like superstructure as such, and then obviously touch up a few bits and pieces here and there, as you should always go over, just snag any things you might have missed. Felix still building Titans, good. That's what you need to be doing. You've got a long way to catch up. I'm rooting for you, dude. You can do it. But yeah, it's something I'll do maybe a little bit more tomorrow night, Monday. I want to build a Titan, but I don't know which one I'm going to do next. I've still got to decide on which legions they're going to go into, and that's what's going to make a difference, because with only one Warlord left in my stockpile, and I've got Fortidus and Domitium, both with only one Warlord, so definitely need to get one of them a Warlord. Domitium is probably more deserving of one, kind of thing. Because being a traitor, and they need to have some more Titans in their ranks. Yes. Good night, Lee. Good luck at work tomorrow. Yeah, cheers. Thanks. Yeah. I've got to get up early and do another measure before going into work again. So yeah, early doors. 50 still to go. Well, that's so you mean sounds like I need to expand my stockpile. I'm just taking it easy. I'm just, now I've got, was it 101 that I've built and painted, and I'm supplementing the ones that I've already got. So let's say extra weapons and stuff to give me those options for battle. But that's what I'm telling myself anyway, Felix. So I'll stick to that. Yeah, so yes, so thank you again, everyone who's joined in today. It's lovely to have you here. If you don't mind doing a like, it's always appreciated. Thank you very much. And as per normal, I'm back on with Artist Empire on Wednesdays, and back here with you lot again next Saturday, and hopefully have more than just weapons to paint, or build a Titan, or maybe build. Yeah, I might do a Titan build. I haven't done a Titan build for a while, so it might be just fun, and obviously do some basings. I'm doing it as I go. But yeah, so yeah, as I said, always appreciate you guys and girls hanging out and doing some hobby, having some chats, and participating, reliving old movies like bloody hell, Deadpool's only like 4 years, 3-4 years, I don't know. Feels like a lifetime. But yeah, no, it's always appreciated, and thank you all for coming in and keeping me company on the hobby hangout. So until, as I say, Wednesday with Artist Empire, and I'll see you next Saturday, hopefully. So take care, everyone, and enjoy what you do. And I hope to see some of your stuff on Twitter and Instagram. Take it easy. Bye.